How can we learn from the leaders, educators, and experts in our industry? What can we take away from their successes and failures? How can we apply this to our businesses, our careers, and our lives? This is what we are here to find out. I'm your host, Karthik Chidambaram, CEO of DC Cap. We make systems, talk to each other for manufacturers and distributors. I love to learn and share that knowledge with others. This podcast is about having meaningful conversations that we can all learn from. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy this conversation.
I love the people in distribution. We're a gritty group of people that just get stuff done, and I love that, right? If they need me to help them out with a physical inventory count one weekend, I'm in the warehouse counting boxes. As we mentioned about architecture, start with the end in mind. We need to deliver the right product to the right customer at the right time. Distribution is the embodiment of that start with the end in mind. I'm really excited personally by the work we're doing with Gen AI. We're finding that the word Gen AI makes it sound like it only generates, but it's really great at predictive analytics. Lately, we've been trying to automate use cases completely. What if we didn't need a person at all?
Welcome to a new episode of the Driven by DC Cap podcast. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, Stephen Levy, Vice President of Enterprise Architecture at Infor.
Thanks for having me, Karthik. I'm so happy to be here. This is one of my favorite podcasts, especially in distribution. You guys have all of my favorite people on.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's an absolute joy and pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for joining us. Before we get started, you're the Vice President of Enterprise Architecture. What does that mean?
It's a really fancy title, and I tell it to people so they don't know what I do. So the problem is if I spoil what I do on your podcast, then everyone will know what it is. It is a really fancy title, but it's not really that complicated. What we really do is we align systems to desired outcomes. So architecture is a very disciplined thought process to make sure that we're aligning to goals. It's used often in governance and in system design. The most important tenet is don't start with the present state. Always start with the end in mind. Start with where you want to be, not where you are.
Start with the end in mind. So Infor has many products. And how are you helping distributors and how are you solving problems for distributors?
What I'm supposed to do on our strategy team is talk to distributors, find out what keeps them up and what they're excited about. And based on that data, I make sure that our systems are able to satisfy their needs in the next 3 to 5 years. Again, that's what I'm supposed to do. Sadly, what we wind up doing in the real world is solving complex problems of today. Because as distributors come up with interesting problems, some of them don't even touch Infor technology. But because I'm able to think in a way of 3 to 4 years out and with goal alignment, they tend to use me to put out a lot of fires.
I'm just trying to understand here. There are many ERPs in the market. There are companies which choose Epicor. There are companies which choose Infor. There are companies which choose SAP. So what is your ideal customer profile? Right? So as a distributor, let's say I'm going to choose an ERP. I have quite a few choices. When would I choose Infor, or where do you guys fit in?
Well, you should choose Infor all the time. Every distributor should never choose an Epicor or an SAP because Infor is best for distributors. However, that's really not the reality we live in. When I think of the example, the prototype of an Infor customer, they're an innovative distributor really looking to differentiate themselves from the marketplace. Our platform really does allow distributors to create innovation easily and without a large team of developers. So it's sort of an innovate and build your own differentiation sort of customer. But because we are industry specific in the distribution market, our products are pre-wired. So you don't need to innovate, you just need to differentiate. So I would say that we're everywhere from a standard distributor to those that are converged with manufacturers and innovating new lines of revenue, everybody in between.
I sometimes think innovation is an overused word. So how are you innovating or how are you differentiating?
Internally, we really don't talk about innovation. It is very much a word designed to drive something new, not to start with the end in mind. So at least, when I'm around in an architecture setting, all of our sessions are focused on things we're trying to do. So we try to use words like use case, right? We try to say, in technology, we talk about use cases very specifically. As a distributor, I have a goal. I wish to ship my product and sell it for more than I bought it for. So we look at those use cases and how to really accomplish those in the most effective way possible. Lately, we've been trying to automate use cases completely. What if we didn't need a person at all?
And you decide on the product roadmap for distribution and all that. Is that a part of your job as well?
It is. I don't actually run the product roadmap. We have product managers for all of our products, and they're all responsible for the actual roadmaps. I influence the roadmaps. I tell them the trends that are becoming popular that will be relevant for distributors. Tariffs and being able to process tariffs, sometimes retroactively, would be a great feature for us to have come 2025. And sure enough, that feature will be used.
I think you maintain a great relationship with customers. Yesterday I was just seeing Katie, she just walked into you and said, hey, thanks for helping me with another customer who had some challenges running the product and all that, right? So the customer relationships are very critical. So you get feedback from the customer and then pass it on to the product team?
Yes. Really, in order for me to get the data that I need from customers, they have to trust me. I mean, it's a trust relationship. I'm asking them questions that are beyond the relationship of a software vendor and a distributor. I'm asking, for example, Katie, what keeps her up at night? What is she most afraid of? And what is she most excited about? If the distributors don't trust me that I'm using those answers for their own good, it doesn't do much good for me. So I tend to earn that trust by helping them with whatever they need. If they need me to help them out with a physical inventory count one weekend, I'm in the warehouse counting boxes.
In terms of challenges facing distributors today, because you work with a lot of distributors, what do you think, on a technology perspective, what do you think are some of the challenges, or what are some of the gaps that you see?
So distributors are faced with many challenges. It used to be disintermediation. We used to talk a lot as an industry about the number one fear was disintermediation, which is our manufacturers trying to take our business. Historically, the manufacturers have always envied distributors' profit margins and have desired to disintermediate them. I think today, as technology evolves, and even with the advent of AI and hyperautomation, we're seeing new forms of competition, marketplaces. I mean, yes, we had Amazon, we had these massive marketplaces, but now we're seeing little bespoke marketplaces pop up. They're driving our costs down in our innovative product. And I'm using the wrong word there, but we all have our core commodities and then we have some ancillary prices. They're not always impulse buys, but these ancillary products historically have made up most of the margin for us. And I think these new competitors are sniping at those ancillary items, the ride-alongs, where we're really making our money. That's going to create an interesting challenge. I also think that with AI and automation, we're facing these new competitors who are automating everything. So as historical distributors, where we have pickers pick our items and we have salespeople actually sell them, we incur more costs than the people who are automating, try to take our profit margin because they can do it more efficiently than a historical traditional distributor.
Yeah, we make systems talk to each other, and automation is something we work on extensively. What is Infor doing on the AI and automation space? I'm just curious, right? So how are you solving challenges with AI?
We have some really exciting use cases in automation now. We're doing a lot with AP automation. So scanning in your inbound bills and your inbound invoices, doing AI to do optical character recognition, to do the three-way matching, to actually go into our ERP, find the purchase order, find the receiving note, match them all up, and if applicable, send them to an accounts payable clerk with a confidence score that they're ready to pay. If it's a perfect match, we can automatically pay it. Or if there's a discrepancy, we can make sure that the right team gets that discrepancy. So we're finding that accounts payable automation is pretty popular these days, which is surprising to you and I because that's the oldest. I mean, we've been doing OCR for a long time with this promise. So it seems strange to me that the oldest use case is also the newest. I'm really excited personally by the work we're doing with Gen AI to split up documents and intentions. We're finding that the word Gen AI makes it sound like it only generates, but it's really great at predictive analytics, which involves, if somebody sends you an email and it has 3 different desires or intentions in there, maybe a new order, a pricing discrepancy, and a billing dispute, or a special order inquiry, Gen AI can take that, slice it up into 3 tickets, and put it into your ticketing system, whether it's Infor or ServiceNow. We're finding that that's a really innovative use, and it really helps distributors out because we have a hard time dealing with multiple requests in one ask. We tend to forward it around to accounts payable, and then we forward it around to the purchasing department to get the special order, and then we forward it around to the shipping department to find out when the order is going. Only 2 of those things get answered, or we have 8 meetings and we answer them after his delivery got there. Those are bad things, so I'm really excited that we're solving some of those problems.
And do you see a lot of distributors adopting that in terms of they are practically using that in the business? And are they also seeing big changes, or maybe not even big changes, are they seeing wins because of they leveraging the Gen AI stuff you talked about?
I'm not seeing many people using in the real world the task splitting up. I don't think that people are at the point where they really want to trust AI with commerce or Gen AI with commerce. I mean, machine learning AI has been running commerce and purchasing since I had hair. So we've always used artificial intelligence in compute, but it's this new Gen AI. People don't trust it with their commerce yet. As it turns out, I mean, from my impression, it's as accurate as an employee. Our average employees are not really that accurate. Our exceptional employees are great. It's not exceptional yet. It's an average employee, but what we use today are the dumbest models we'll use for the rest of our lives, right?
Yeah, another thing possibly I think we could do is, you just create the draft, create the draft ticket, keep the drafts ready, and then you have a human look at it. So it does save time that way, right? Okay, I have the draft. Okay, it looks good. Or maybe I make some edits just like an email, right? So I asked ChatGPT to write an email for me. I don't copy paste the whole thing and just send it. Right. I edit it, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think, that could be a great use case as well.
Yeah. And there's a use case in distribution that we are seeing that really is creating the most value for distributors. And that is really natural language searching at scale, using AI to take in 10,000 items and match them up to the most likely candidate. So we find a lot of distributors spend time searching for items in customer service, in sales, in support. We're constantly searching for the right item. What does Steve mean when he says screw? Is it a 3/4 inch nickel? Like, you don't know, but Steve says screw. So we're really finding systems that are doing that matching are really saving a ton of time for distributors. So at Endries, I think we saved 7,200 hours with just that one use case, which is an amazing amount of time. And Endries is a really innovative distributor. Most of us love to save money. So if we save 3-man hours or 3-man years of work, we do our business with 3 less men. What Michael Knight over at Endries did is he felt that time would be better utilized. He really trusted that his people have the right vision and that they're aligned in bettering the company. So as a result, the salespeople use this time for strategic sourcing. Since they're not searching for items and matching it up, they're calling their manufacturers and saying, hey, can you give me an extra 10% on this one for this bid? And what they're actually doing is increasing the net profit for Endries. And that's really exciting for me. And I'm finding that distributors are saving a ton of time. Those efforts are really moving the needle, and it's a real problem that we're solving. That's the one that's got me most excited. I think we're saving man years quickly.
Business is all about relationships, and you do a great job at that, I think. Because I see you at a lot of conferences, and even in the example we talked about, right? So Katie at First Supply had a problem. She reached out to you, and then you helped another customer, right? So how do you build these relationships, and what tips and advice would you like to share our audience?
I guess, I mean, I'm always honest. I'm just not smart enough to lie. So I make sure that, if something is not good in our ERP, and as a little note, there are things in every ERP that are not good. If you think about your career at work, every problem you've probably had was in your ERP, so they can't be perfect, right? SAP invented ERP. I blame them for all the problems that happened afterwards. It's difficult for me to know that I do a good job with relationships. I'm constantly getting yelled at, and I'm constantly telling people things that I probably shouldn't, like, oh yeah, we really need to fix that. So I guess if I had to give one piece of advice, it's be honest. Be a person of integrity. People respect that. It's easy to share good news. It's really difficult to share hard news, but I find that that's where you really find honesty, is those people that are willing to give you bad news as well. And Katie and I have not always had great conversations. I mean, I'm always willing to help, but there are times when, I've had to deliver bad news to her. And I think that you go through those rocky times, and ultimately she respects that at least it's upfront and honest instead of me lying for 6 months.
Yeah, be honest is a great advice. But I also think when you are customer facing, there's a lot you learn, and you're able to pass that on to the team. Like, for instance, a lot of it would not even be your problem, right? So some screen doesn't work. You didn't really do anything there. You're just getting yelled at. But then the key thing is to take it to the product team. Hey, this is what this customer is saying, and we need to fix it. Let's fix it. And then you take it back. And if one customer is having this problem, there's a likely chance that 5 other customers are also having. So you're really preventing that problem.
Yes, absolutely. I think that, one, I'm calm under pressure. When the sky is falling and there's fire and brimstone everywhere, everyone's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I'm like, hey, feels like home. I'm looking for mom and dad. So it's easy for me to take the line of fire and to be able to translate that emotional response, which sometimes is warranted, take that emotional response, translate it into technical requirements, and deliver it to the people that can actually fix the problem in a timely fashion, and then go back to the original person and say, okay, we've communicated this, and we hope to deliver it by this date. Again, along the lines of honesty, I think people genuinely appreciate that level of candor, but it's not easy for most. For me, it's just the way I am, right? I've always been that way.
Technology is ever evolving, right? So there's new things every day.
Yes.
And you have been in this business for a while. You're in tech, and one thing in tech is if you don't upskill yourself, you're gone. How do you upskill?
I am a voracious reader. I read incessantly. If I'm driving or on an aircraft, I'm usually listening to some type of podcast or reading an article about distribution or technology. When people ask what's my hobby, it feels like it is work because all I do is I read about our industry, right? I love the history of distribution. I love the people in distribution. We're a gritty group of people that just get stuff done, and I love that, right? As we mentioned about architecture, start with the end in mind. We need to deliver the right product to the right customer at the right time. Distribution is the embodiment of that start with the end in mind. It really is get the product down the supply chain to our customers.
I strongly believe readers are leaders. I would like to end with this question, Steve.
Sure.
What book are you reading right now, or is there any podcast you are listening to that you would like to share with our audience?
I am not reading a book. I just finished The Odyssey. It's boring. I don't recommend it. But it was a great translation of the Odyssey. It was written by a woman, and it was really in the poetic stance. So it was a great one. Podcast that I listened to. I am a Freakonomics junkie. I listen incessantly to Freakonomics. I read the book when I was younger, and ever since then, I think I've heard all 600 episodes.
Thank you so much, Steve, for joining this conversation, and great chatting with you.
It was my pleasure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for joining our Driven by DC Cap podcast. Your support means a lot to us. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button and subscribe. Consider leaving us a review. Thank you for joining us.